Lucy Powell, the leader of the House, senior cabinet minister, went on to Any Questions, the Radio 4 debate show, with our friend Tim Montgomery, one of the other panellists. Tim Montgomery asked her, have you seen Channel 4's harrowing documentary, Grooming, a national scandal about the rape gang scandal, obviously? And she reacted as if it was just a political football. Oh, we're going to blow that trumpet, are we? Oh, pass me the dog whistle. She then had to apologise because it is a lot more than a political football. One senses that Downing Street made her apologise. I know there was a lot of backroom activity. The cabinet number 10 were very dismayed by what she said. Quite rightly, she came across as an inhuman, callous robot. It's not a political football. It's 250,000 vulnerable girls were raped, tortured, treated like animals, and you think it's just something to be kicked around in the House of Commons, Lucy? Do me a favour. So while we feast on the grave of her political career, today, number 10 Downing Street, who clearly got her to apologise, seem to have backed her up. They've released a statement saying, oh, you know, people are just using the great rape gang scandal, weaponising it against us to make political points. When are they going to understand? This is a human issue, not a political issue. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, I don't think any of us should make any apology for using it against them, because in so many cases, it was their councillors and other figures attached to the Labour Party who were in charge and bore responsibility for the most astonishing, appalling cover-ups that took place that allowed this abuse to go on and is still allowing this abuse to go on in some cases. And you know what's really terrifying is that Lucy Powell is actually one of the better Labour ministers and MPs. Lucy Powell is ordinarily a sensible, measured, more than half decent individual. So if she can say things like that, just imagine what the various real nutters in the Labour Party are actually secretly thinking. I think that's the point here. You know, anyone can slip up on live political programmes. I know what it's like to be under that pressure, but I think what this gives us as an insight into the Labour Party's psychology on this issue, and their reflex is just to say, oh, this is all just, you know, our political opponents getting at us, and it's all whipped up and so on and so forth. And it's just, that's just an inch away from going down that whole racism line, isn't it?
Yeah, and nobody is weaponising this against the government, as you quite rightly say. We are merely stating the facts, and some of the facts are that the nation, this country, demands, or certainly desires, a national inquiry into the worst sex abuse scandal in this country's history. 250,000 victims, vulnerable young white girls treated like animals by Muslim, mostly of Pakistani origin men, operating in gangs, you know, for over more than a decade, and they think it's still going on. In fact, they're pretty certain it's still going on. This isn't a political football. This is not a dog whistle issue. This is a very, very serious human issue. Lucy Powell forgot that. Let's give her a bit of a break. In the heat of the debate, she forgot that, but I think she will struggle politically to ever recover from that howler. But the government still seems to think, oh yeah, they're weaponising this against us. Come on, it's not good enough, is it?
It really isn't good enough. And again, you know, this scandal didn't exactly happen on their watch, in the sense that, you know, they weren't in government for many of the years during which this took place, but a lot of the responsibility rests at a local government level.
Yeah, a lot of but don't forget who was the Director of Public Prosecutions for many of the years when this was going. Oh, that was a certain Mr. Keir Starmer, wasn't it? So he's right in the thick of this.
And there's overwhelming evidence, isn't there, that an awful lot of other Labour figures at a local level were all too keen to sweep this under the carpet. So it's been an absolute horror show for the Labour Party. It will continue to be a stain on this country's reputation. And, you know, you've spoken very, very powerfully to some of the victims who have managed to fortunately move on with their lives. You know, these young women, their lives have been changed forever by this absolutely grotesque abuse. In no way, shape, or form should any government minister or spokeswoman or man try to sweep this aside or dismiss it as some kind of, you know, minor political row, point-scoring row.
Yeah, and to classify it as something that opponents are weaponising. That's the issue here. Lucy Powell and now Number 10 sort of feel, oh, yeah, well, you're just hitting us, you're using this as a stick to hit us over the head with. Well, that's not true. They're getting a hard time because the nation demands a national inquiry, and they won't give us one because, as you quite rightly say, it'll be very, very embarrassing for many Labour councils, local Labour areas. It will be embarrassing for the police. It will be embarrassing for teachers. It will be embarrassing for social workers. And it will be embarrassing for Keir Starmer because his period as the Director of Public Prosecutions, I believe, went from 2008 to 2013, something like that. It was all going on then, and during his administration, not a single conviction of any rape gang member. So he's in it up to here as well. That's why they're talking about weaponising it against them, because every time somebody mentions it, they feel vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly that. They just can't wait. They just want to shut down this debate. They want it to go away because it is so uncomfortable, so embarrassing, and so politically tricky for them because of their dependence on the votes from some of these communities, some of the communities that were most wrapped up in the appalling things that were done.
And let's not forget, lest we forget, it's pretty certain that this horror is still going on.
Yes.
So once again, I think the authorities got to step up to the plate. But this plays right into the Labour playbook, doesn't it? That most of these people who did nothing were sort of Labour sympathisers, and they were terrified of going for the rape gangs because they're Islamic, they're Muslims, Pakistani origins, and they feared that if they went round arresting them, giving them a hard time, which they should have done, that they would be accused of racism. As if that's more, them being accused of racism was more important to them than the fact that young girls were being tortured and raped. So shame on them.